thing is, net zero is, the Conservatives did get voted in with quite a big mandate, and net zero was part of it, but no one was ever really specific about what it meant. So it was a bit of an abstract idea, really. But when you start saying this is going to mean perhaps you don't travel as much, you don't get paid, we might have power cuts. So there's a whole range of limits, and we're going to fine you, and there's going to be surveillance, and you're going to have bollards in the street, and we're going to track you. A bit like a social credit system in many ways, and we'll have these 15 and 20-minute neighborhood cities. Well, what that means is pylons and cameras, but no real service provision, because that's going to come later, but lots of charging. So that's all underpinned by ideas around net zero. And we've had the report that we did with Ben Pyle, which is about a few very wealthy billionaires who have basically hijacked the public arena. Local politics, they're really marching onto local politics. There's a load of phantom organizations that have been set up that pretend to be grassroots organizations. Together is a grassroots organization. It was organically developed out of relationship to people that were challenging lockdowns and other things. We have members who pay small amounts to keep us all going, whereas a few green billionaires that we've itemized in the report, their names that will be familiar. I mean, even things like C40 Cities that Sadiq Khan's a chair of. This unelected, this kind of globalist organization about mayors, which is also about devolution. It's a thing that came from the States, but the whole thing about mayors getting more sort of like, rather than essentially kind of democratically, nationally organized thing, in an attempt to kind of take that way, it's a kind of sovereign question as well. What ends up happening is you've got people like UK 100 and cycling activists that are all funded by these groups that are putting enormous pressure, and you've got these bogus consultations that are happening that often they never ask people, and when they do ask people, they ignore what they say, like Sadiq Khan did with ULEZ. They're not the right kind of respondents, some of them. But it's very shocking. If you look at places like Hackney and Islington and Tower Hamlets and others, a lot of the consultations were a sham. Now, Tower Hamlets overturned the low traffic neighbourhoods, as Warrington did, as Newcastle has. But at the same time, we're seeing more pushing forward, right? So Stratford, Newham and Islington and others are pushing forward with these so-called livable streets. Now, it's been great work that Together's done, because we've worked with lots of people locally and regionally, challenging some of these net zero ideas, and also what the impact of these things will be, right? Just getting people to walk and cycle, very damaging and harmful to whole sectors, people who work, people who are disabled, women at night, all sorts of things. Cars can't get in places, extra fines, just our ability to be mobile and travel. But we've done a lot of work, and we got Mark Harper and the Department of Transport to pull back on any more funding of livable streets or active travel. They're called different names. That was a big win. Rishi Sunak has announced that there's going to be an inquiry into low traffic neighbourhoods. We know that the COVID inquiry is somewhat of a farce, because it's not asking about why we even had lockdowns. However, these are all impacts that we've had through campaigning. We know that the work that we did in Uxbridge had an impact, like what we're doing, and we've been doing in Wellingborough, Kingswood, and we will be doing in Rochdale next week, raising these issues of net zero, of censorship, of lockdowns, the cost of lockdowns, the cost of living, and insisting upon transparency. That's what our pledge is, the net zero pledge. We're getting people to send it to their MPs, to their councillors, and saying, will people sign up to this pledge?